Stop! Look at your hands. Now look at your reflection. That face staring back at you. That familiar composite image of every past decision, every whispered desire, every public smile and private grief. You believe that is you, don't you? You believe the world sees you as you see yourself. That belief is a lie, a comfortable psychological anesthetic against the chilling reality we are about to unveil. You are not one self. You are a shifting, performative construct, perpetually caught between two monumental forces, the mirror and the mask. And in this dark space, your reflection is not a truth. It is a meticulously crafted and profoundly dangerous fabrication. Welcome. This is a deep dive into the philosophy of self-deception, the architecture of the ego, and the sinister mechanics of social survival. This is not self-help. This is self-reckoning. For years, you've been sold a simplistic model of the human psyche. Be authentic. Be true to yourself. But what if authenticity is just the best-fitting mask? What if the self you believe to be true is merely the most convenient narrative your ego has settled upon? We are going to dismantle the fundamental illusion of your identity. We are going to expose the silent, parasitic relationship between the internal image, the idealized, edited version in the mirror, and the external performance, the carefully modulated persona of the mask. Think of the mirror as your private, internal propaganda machine. It reflects back to you a curated self, a comforting narrative that shields you from the raw, unacceptable truths of your nature. The capacity for cruelty, the intellectual dishonesty, the gnawing insecurity, the mirror sanitizes it all. It shows you the hero of your own story. The mask, on the other hand, is your social currency. It's the role you play to secure resources, affection, and dominance. It's the impenetrable veneer of confidence you wear to a job interview, the effortless charm you deploy on a first date, or the stoic composure you maintain when your world is collapsing. The mask is a survival mechanism, a necessary hypocrisy. But here is where the danger lies, and where dark psychology takes root. Over time, the performance becomes the reality. The constant, repetitive act of presenting the mask corrupts the self in the mirror, making the reflection a hostage to external validation. You forget which is the genuine face and which is the crafted facade. You look into the mirror and see the mask looking back. In this exhaustive exploration, we will use the lenses of Nietzschean philosophy, Jungian archetypes, existential dread, and clinical dark triad theory to systematically map this terrain. We will show you how the mirror creates the narcissus complex, the internal echo chamber that makes you immune to criticism, the three essential masks we all wear and the social power they grant, the terrifying moment when the mirror and the mask fuse, leading to the psychological state of total bad faith, and finally, the excruciating but necessary process of cracking the mirror and setting the mask aside to see the unmasked reality of your own will. This journey is long, but necessary. It requires a formidable degree of intellectual courage. Are you willing to confront the fact that the person you thought you were is a beautiful, dangerous lie? If your answer is yes, then silence your world. Focus. Because what you are about to learn is the fundamental key to understanding not only your own self-deception, but the hidden mechanics of everyone you interact with. Let's begin by breaking down the anatomy of the mirror, the internal propaganda. Anatomy of the mirror. The mirror is the core operational system of your private self. It is not the physical glass you look into. It is the cognitive feedback loop that shapes, edits, and ultimately dictates your understanding of your own character. Before a single action is taken, before a word is spoken, the mirror has already begun its work, the construction of the self-narrative. We must understand the mirror not as a reflector of truth, but as a projector of convenience. Its primary function is not honesty, but survival and stability. It operates under a simple, immutable mandate. Protect the ego at all costs, the three pillars of the mirror's construction. The illusion of the good self is built upon three foundational self-deceptive pillars. To truly understand the power of the mirror, you must isolate and identify these pillars within your own mind. Pillar 1. the principle of justification, the self-exonerating narrative. Every single questionable action you have ever taken, the harsh word, the betrayal, the act of laziness, the moment of cowardice, was immediately followed by an intense, subconscious burst of psychological reconstruction. This is the principle of justification. The mirror cannot tolerate the raw, unflattering reality of, "I did this because I am weak, selfish, cruel." Instead, it rapidly generates an alternative, more palatable narrative. "I did this because I was provoked," or "I had no choice," or "it was for their own good." This mechanism is so sophisticated that it doesn't just revise the memory, it fundamentally alters your perception of your own motivation. Consider the person who cheats a system. The raw truth is a desire for an unfair advantage. The mirror's reflection, however, shows, "I am smart enough to see the loopholes," or "the system is fundamentally corrupt, so my actions are a justified rebellion." The act of cheating is transformed into an act of cleverness or righteous defiance. This is the mirror ensuring you remain the protagonist. It's the engine of bad faith, the psychological maneuver Sartre called the lie to oneself. You do not simply deceive others. You begin by deceiving the most important audience, yourself. Pillar 2. Selective memory and curated history, the ego's editor. The human memory is not a perfect record. It is a creative writer. The mirror acts as the ultimate editor-in-chief of your personal history. It magnifies moments of triumph and competence while systematically minimizing, blurring, or entirely erasing moments of incompetence, embarrassment, or moral failure. When you recall your past, the mirror presents a highlight reel, not the director's cut. It frames your successful risk-taking as courageous vision and your failed risks as valuable, necessary lessons that only strengthened you. The times you were truly cruel or manipulative, those memories are often filed away under defensive measures or necessary evil. This selective process is particularly potent when the mirror interacts with success. Every achievement is cemented as evidence of inherent worth and talent. Every failure is externalized. It was bad luck, a flawed system, or the fault of another person. The mirror protects the internal core by projecting inadequacy outward. The result is a self that believes its own positive attributes are permanent and innate, while its negative attributes are temporary and situational. This curated history builds the scaffolding for future self-entitlement and prevents genuine, painful self-assessment. Pillar 3. The projection of idealized potential, the future fiction. Perhaps the most insidious lie the mirror tells is not about who you are, but who you are going to be. This is the projection of idealized potential. The mirror constantly holds up the image of the self you could be. The disciplined, consistent, brilliant, financially successful, emotionally intelligent figure waiting just around the corner. This future fiction serves a critical, present-day function. It provides an excuse for current inertia. You don't need to work hard today because your potential is already established. You don't need to confront your procrastination now because the future you will certainly have overcome it. This projection is a massive energy sink. It allows the ego to bask in the glory of unrealized achievement, a form of spiritual laziness. It is the core reason people feel a deep, resonant dissonance. They are living by the mediocre standards of the present self while judging themselves by the impossible standards of the future ideal self. The mirror ensures that the gap is never closed, because the moment the ideal is achieved, the mirror must create a new, grander ideal, or else its fundamental purpose, comforting you with potential, is lost. The Narcissus complex, the mirror's ultimate trap. When these three pillars are fully established, the mirror graduates from a defense mechanism to a full-blown Narcissus complex. This is the state where the individual becomes psychologically sealed off, utterly convinced by the internal propaganda and effectively immune to external truth. The term Narcissus is critical here. It is not about simply being vain. It is about being fatally absorbed with the reflection, not the reality. The reflection in the mirror is beautiful, capable, and fundamentally good. The moment external data, criticism, failure, rejection threatens this reflection, the narcissus complex activates a defensive, often aggressive, counter-response. The firewall of denial. When challenged, the individual doesn't debate the facts. They attack the source. If someone criticizes your work, the mirror doesn't allow you to see a flaw in the work. It convinces you the critic is jealous, misinformed, or has malicious intent. The truth becomes less relevant than the need to defend the integrity of the reflection. This firewall prevents any genuine self-correction. It's a self-sealing loop of confirmation bias. The echo chamber of validation. The mirror instinctively seeks out people and environments that confirm its narrative. We build circles of friends, choose specific media, and join particular communities that echo the idealized self-image. The successful person surrounds themselves with sycophants who reinforce their brilliance. The victim surrounds themselves with those who validate their suffering. The mirror is constantly filtering reality, admitting only data that confirms its projection. This creates a powerful but fragile psychological bubble. The mirror and moral relativism. The mirror's most subtle and dangerous trick is its manipulation of moral parameters. For the person trapped in the mirror, morality is not a universal standard. It is a flexible boundary dictated by the convenience of the ego. If you are successful, your ambition is lauded as admirable drive. If a rival is successful, their ambition is branded as ruthless, cold exploitation. The mirror ensures that all of your virtues are inherent, while the same traits in your opponents are framed as vices. This selective moral vision is the breeding ground for ethical compromise. Every unethical shortcut is rationalized as a necessary concession to a difficult world. Every dark psychological tactic is justified as a leveling of the playing field. The mirror convinces you that because your intentions are fundamentally good, a pre-established mirror truth, any method you use to achieve your goals must, by extension, be justified. The reflection remains pristine, even while the actions outside the reflection are tainted. This is the psychological state of total insulation. It explains why genuinely awful people can sleep soundly at night. They have a very effective mirror. They are not bad people. They are simply people taking necessary, difficult steps that their internal narrative has sanctified. The mirror is a masterpiece of psychological engineering. It is your most dedicated friend, your most persuasive lawyer, and your most terrifying jailer. It keeps you safe from the difficult, uncomfortable task of genuine self-confrontation, but to survive the complexities of the social world, the mirror cannot exist in isolation. It needs an interface, a way to interact and compete. That interface, that weapon, is the mask. To understand the full mechanism of self-deception, we must now turn outward toward the arena of social performance and examine the structure and power dynamics of the mask. The deadly fusion, bad faith, and the totalitarian self-we. Arrive now at the critical inflection point, the point where the protective mechanism becomes the psychological prison. This is the deadly fusion of the mirror and the mask. It is the existential state the philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre termed mauvaise foi, or bad faith. The refusal to admit what one is by hiding behind the pretense of what one is not. The fusion is not merely a strong commitment to a role. It is the psychological amputation of freedom and self-awareness. It happens not in a moment, but through a gradual, seductive process of social success and internal confirmation. The mechanism of self-anesthesia, the erosion of the interior. How does the successful mask destroy the truth in the mirror? It is through the power of external validation and the erosion of internal criteria. Validation as psychological bribe, the world rewards a finely tuned mask. The strategist mask brings promotions and financial power. The velvet mask brings affection and emotional support. The seamless mask brings peace and inclusion. These external rewards flood the psyche with dopamine and social affirmation. The mirror, remember, is primarily concerned with stability and ego protection. When the mask provides overwhelming, consistent evidence of success, the mirror concludes, the performance is working. The performance must, therefore, be true. The validation acts as a psychological bribe, convincing the mirror to stop its own function of critical self-assessment. Why look inward and critique the messy reality when looking outward at the mask's success provides instant, positive reinforcement? The internal reality is deemed irrelevant, painful, and inefficient compared to the profitable external projection. The loss of the authentic gaze. In the philosophy of the self, we often speak of the gaze, the critical, judging observation of the self by others. But the authentic self requires an internal gaze, the ability to look at one's own motivations, failures, and capacity for cruelty without flinching. When the mask and mirror fuse, the internal gaze is blinded by the brilliant light of the external performance. The individual loses the capacity for genuine self-critique. The fact of their success, the mask's win, trumps the meaning of their success, the mirror's justification. A person who climbed the corporate ladder through manipulation, mask of strategist, receives massive external validation, CEO title, wealth. The mirror, now fused with the mask, doesn't see manipulator. It sees brilliant leader. The ability to step outside the narrative and say, "My methods were base and immoral," is destroyed. The mask has become the judge and jury of the mirror. The totalitarian self. Life in bad faith. The fused identity is a totalitarian psychological state. The persona dictates the person, and all internal dissent is swiftly and ruthlessly suppressed. The anxiety of exposure life in bad faith is characterized by a crippling existential anxiety of exposure. The individual knows on some deep, suppressed level that their identity is a performance built on selective lies. Their greatest fear is that the mask will slip, revealing the true, unsanitized self beneath. This fear dictates all their choices. Avoidance of intimacy. Genuine intimacy requires dropping the mask. It requires vulnerability and the courage to let another person see the true. Messy reflection. The fused self cannot risk this. Therefore, their relationships remain transactional, superficial, or defined by the very role, mask, they play. The strategist maintains power through distance. The velvet mask maintains power through dependence, perfectionism, and rigidity. The performance must be flawless because the consequence of failure is the death of the self-concept. This leads to profound psychological rigidity. The individual becomes incapable of adaptation, unable to learn from mistakes because mistakes expose the mask. They double down on the performance, even when it is clearly failing, because the mask is all they have left. Pathological defense. Any criticism, any challenge to the narrative is treated as an existential threat. This fuels a narcissistic rage and an almost immediate deployment of defense mechanisms, denial, projection, aggression. They are not defending an opinion or an action. They are defending the very foundations of their identity. The loss of freedom. Becoming the role. The central tragedy of the fusion, from an existential viewpoint, is the loss of freedom. Freedom, in philosophical terms, is the capacity to recognize that one is not entirely defined by one's circumstances or one's past. The bartender is free to stop being a bartender. The father is free to be more than just a father. This is the transcendence over the facticity, our existing facts. The fused self rejects this freedom. It claims, "I am this mask. I must be the strategist, victim, true chameleon." This is the ultimate act of bad faith, attempting to convince oneself that one is a thing, a fixed, unchanging object, rather than a consciousness, a fluid, free, and responsible subject. By adopting the mask completely, they deny their capacity to choose a different way of being. They condemn themselves to live forever as the successful lie. Dark psychology applications. Fusion as manipulation. The fused identity, while internally crippling, is an incredibly powerful and dangerous social weapon. A person who genuinely believes their own mask is psychologically unassailable in many social contests. Unshakable conviction, the power of belief. The most potent manipulators are often those who are not consciously performing. They are the ones whose mask has fused. Their lies are delivered with the unshakable conviction of truth, because to them, they are truth. A con artist who believes their own narrative is exponentially more persuasive than one who is merely acting. This sincerity bypasses the standard skepticism of others. The fused individual radiates an aura of self-certainty that is deeply attractive and often mistaken for competence or integrity. The weaponization of the velvet mask. The most chilling fusion occurs when the velvet mask merges with the mirror. This creates the pathological victim, the person who genuinely believes they are fundamentally good, incapable of true malice and eternally owed recompense for their perpetual suffering. When challenged, they retreat into this fused identity. Their vulnerability becomes a weapon used to guilt, silence, and control others. They are masters of moral superiority, weaponizing their perceived innocence to justify any cruel or selfish action. In their mind, since they are the pure victim, any action taken against others is merely a necessary defense or justified retaliation. This is a fortress of self-pity, nearly impenetrable to logic or criticism, the erosion of empathy. The final dark consequence of the fusion is the erosion of empathy. Empathy requires recognizing the genuine, complex, and sometimes ugly humanity in another person. It requires seeing their internal mirror and their external mask and respecting the separation. The fused individual cannot do this because they can no longer tolerate their own reality. They only see others through the lens of their own required performance. Other people cease to be subjects and become objects, props in the theater of the fused mask. They are either obstacles to the mask's success, to be eliminated, admirers who validate the mask, to be cultivated, victims who require the mask's protection, our guidance, to be controlled. This objectification is the defining trait of the dark triad: narcissism, Machiavellianism, psychopathy. The fusion creates a person structurally aligned with these traits, even if they started as simply seeking comfort or survival. The lie has become the master. This state of bad faith is the apex of self-deception, trapping the individual in a glittering, powerful cage of their own making. To reverse this process, to regain psychological freedom, requires a radical and painful act of destruction. The cracking of the mirror, racking the mirror, the agony of unmasking and the birth of authentic power. We have walked the landscape of self-deception. We have seen the seductive comfort of the mirror's lie and the strategic advantage of the mask's performance. And we have stared into the abyss of the deadly fusion, the life lived in bad faith. The question is now not how to live in peace, but how to live in truth. How do you fracture the reflection that has become your prison, and how do you harness the mask without becoming its slave? The process is agonizing, but it is the sole path to authentic, resilient psychological power. It is the path of radical self-confrontation. The first fracture: embracing cognitive dissonance. The mirror is cracked not by effort, but by evidence. The first step is to deliberately seek out and internalize information that shatters your self-exonerating narratives. This means actively embracing cognitive dissonance, the deep, uncomfortable feeling that arises when two of your beliefs clash. Seek the critique, not the compliment. Stop surrounding yourself with validation. Actively solicit brutal, honest feedback from the few people whose insight you genuinely respect. When the feedback contradicts your self-image, you are a poor listener. You avoid confrontation. Your generosity is manipulative. Do not defend. Do not rationalize. Simply sit with the raw, uncomfortable fact of the data. Let the dissonance resonate. This emotional pain is the sound of the mirror cracking. Inventory the shadow. Pull out the curated history the mirror maintains and force a full inventory of the shadow self, the part of you you reject. List the times you were lazy, cruel, dishonest, or cowardly, and label them without justification. Do not say, "I shouted because I was stressed." Say, "I shouted because I chose to inflict my frustration on a weaker party." This raw naming of the action, disconnected from the justification, attacks the mirror's principle of justification, the test of facticity. Perform the philosophical exercise of recognizing your facticity, what you are, your actions, history, and limits, without collapsing into it. You are not a failure, a fixed thing. You are a consciousness that has currently failed at this task. This distinction reclaims your freedom. It allows you to see the unflattering fact without allowing it to destroy your self-concept. You look into the mirror and say, I was manipulative in that instance, not, I am a manipulator. The strategic unmasking, the power of intentionality, you cannot simply discard the mask. Society does not permit it, and your psyche is too fragile to sustain total exposure. The goal is to move from a compulsory mask, a role you must play, to a strategic mask, a tool you choose to deploy. Select the mask, do not become it. Recognize that the mask is an instrument, not an identity. When you enter the boardroom, you consciously choose to wear the silver strategist mask, but you do so with intentionality. You know with certainty that this is a role you are playing to achieve a specific, temporary goal, and that the person wearing the mask is a smaller, strategic part of the total you. Find the private anchor. You must establish a sanctuary where the mask is forbidden. This is a private ritual, a genuine relationship, or a creative endeavor where the only acceptable behavior is authenticity. This anchor must be non-performative. It is the place where you practice being, not seeming. It reminds the mirror that the world's rewards are based on the mask, but its own intrinsic worth is not. The courage of imperfection. Begin to intentionally allow small, non-critical cracks in your public mask. Let the strategist admit confusion about a minor detail. Let the velvet mask display a moment of genuine, non-strategic strength. These controlled moments of imperfection signal to your unconscious mind that it is safe to be less than perfect, less than the projected ideal. This is the integration of the shadow. When you accept your flaws, you strip others of the power to use those flaws against you. The true reflection. Power through coherence. The goal of this long, dark journey is not the destruction of the self, but the attainment of coherence, a state where the internal reflection and the external projection are in genuine, systematic alignment. The power of the coherent individual is formidable. They do not waste psychological energy defending a lie. Their self-belief is not dependent on external validation because it is rooted in a brutal, inventory-based understanding of their own truth. They can speak with clarity because they are not simultaneously performing and judging. This is the birth of authentic power. It is a power derived not from the cleverness of the lie, but from the unassailable resilience of the truth. Look at your reflection one last time. It is a lie, but it is a lie that has protected you. Now, it is time for that protection to yield to strength. The task is set. The path is difficult, but the reward is psychological sovereignty. The terrible, magnificent freedom of knowing who you truly are. The mirror is broken. The mask is now a tool. The performance is over. We have provided you with the foundational keys to deciphering the world's most compelling illusion, the self. This knowledge is not meant to make you comfortable. It is meant to make you sovereign. Use it to understand the psychological architecture of those who would control you, and more critically, to liberate the formidable self that lies trapped behind your own beautiful, dangerous lie. The only remaining question is, now that you have seen the truth, are you brave enough to live it? Think on that, and until next time, remain watchful.